Good morning. Thank you for being patient while we got everyone signed in. Welcome to the Hawaii County Council Committee on Public Safety and Mass Transit, our 7th session. Today's date is May 14th, and we're in the council chambers in Hilo. The time is 9:09. Please turn off your cell phones. Hold on while I turn off my cell phone. I'm so sorry. I know I've got it on.
What's your number?
Oh, gosh. All right, or at least put them on the silent mode. I'm calling the meeting to order right now. And if you do want to testify, please sign in over here. I've delayed the meeting a little to give you a chance to do that. If you've signed in for more than just what is on the agenda today for this committee, which is Bill 79 GMO, you will not be heard during this public testimony. You'll have to wait till the next meeting starts to testify on anything else. So I would like to first introduce the members of the committee. Starting at my extreme right is Gregor Ilagan and Zendo Kern, Drew Kanuha, Karen Eoff, Jay Yoshimoto. To my left, Margaret Willie, Valerie Poindexter. I'm Brenda Ford. I'll be chairing this particular meeting. Mr. Onishi has a personal situation, and he'll be about 45 minutes late, so he will be here. So we're going to go taking statements from the public. So let me explain to everybody what we're going to be doing. I will first go around to each site and find out approximately how many testifiers are at each site. I'm going to take 2 people at each site. So here in Hilo and over in the Kona Council Chambers, I would like to have 2 people sitting at the table ready to testify while the other people are testifying. So I'll call the first 2 and I'll tell who the 3rd and 4th person is, and you be the number 3 and 4 be ready to come forward and sit down as soon as the first 2 leave, and then we'll move around the island taking testimony from other people. You will have just 3 minutes. We have a timer over here. We have timers in some other locations, but we're going to be using the timer here, and I will let you know when you've got 30 seconds. I'll wave something, or I'll, 30 seconds, or we'll let you know. Then you need to summarize, because we have a lot of testimony this morning. The next thing I need to let the council know is that we are having communication issues over in Ka'u. The bars are going from yellow to red, and when it gets into red zone, Ka'u cannot hear us, and we will not be able to hear them. So we're going to do the best we can to work around this, but I just need to let you know that all day we may be having these issues going on in the different meetings.
Can you let them testify first?
I will try to let Ka'u testify first and see if we can get them out of the way, depending on how many people they have. I don't want to be unfair to anybody. So, Ka'u, let me start with you. How many testifiers do you have?
I have 5 testifiers.
Okay, I'm going to only take 2. I'll start with you, I'll take 2, but we're going to go around. I don't want to take everybody just from Ka'u. That doesn't seem quite fair. So, Kona, how many testifiers do you have?
Good morning, Madam Chair. We have 5 testifiers today.
Okay, thank you. Pahoa.
Looking like we have 6 now.
6, got it. Let me know as it changes. Not each time, but as we go call on you.
Okay.
Pahoa,
Thank
please,
you.
how many testifiers?
Good morning, Madam Chair. We have 9 testifiers for this committee right now.
Okay, Waimea? Waimea, we cannot hear you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. We have 14 testifiers.
Thank you, Waimea. We have right now 25 here in Hilo. Okay? So, okay, now, thank you for the applause, for everybody showing up. I'm going to ask you not to applaud after the testifiers, whether you agree with them or not, okay? We're going to be nice to everybody, okay? All right. I'm going to call 2 people up here in Hilo. Corey Harden and William Steiner will come up to the table. You will be followed by Merle Hayward and Susan Miyasaka. So as soon as these 2 finish, I'll go to another location. Number 3 and 4 will come up and be ready to go. I want to do this I want to keep people moving. I don't want you walking up here and taking extra time. Please work with me on this one. Okay, we're going to start in Kona. Please call your first 2 testifiers.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I have Subhadra Cochran in support of Bill 79.
All right.
Also, I have Josephine Keli'ipio. Also in support of Bill 79.
Okay, we're going to start with Kona. We're going to go to Ka'u and take Ka'u's first two, and we'll just keep moving around. All right, Kona, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Subhadra Cochran, and I think GMOs are a really bad idea until they're tested a lot longer. I think with something like GMOs, we need intergenerational testing. We can't test them on one group of people and say how they will affect the offspring. We simply don't know. We could at best guess. They haven't been present long enough to test them this way. And I don't know what's the hurry. If we don't think something is safe or don't know for certain, absolute certain it's safe for our children, why don't we just wait? What's the big hurry? How much money do these people need to make before the people become important? I think we need to take the power away from the big dollar and put a little bit of concern back on the future generations. For all humanity's sake, I say please restrict the GMO use. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Will you take your second testifier in Kona?
Oh, me?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh. I support Bill 79. There are no studies to indicate...
Excuse me, can you start over again and please give your name first?
Okay, sorry. My name is Josephine Keli'ipio. I support Bill 79. There are no studies to indicate that genetically altered food is safe for human consumption. I know that a lot of supporters of genetically altered food will tell us that this type of food can possibly help us with our medicines to create better medicines, but I just wanted to remind everybody that according to the Starfield study published in 2000 in the Journal of American Medical Association, the medical system itself is the third leading cause of death after heart disease and cancer. So if the medical system is not doing very good at the moment, can you imagine what it would be like if we added genetically modified medicine to this group? We just don't have the studies, and like I said, the medical system is the third leading cause of death in the U.S. Thank you.
Thank you, Kona. We're moving to Ka'u. Will the first testifier please identify himself, or Deborah Lee, if you would identify them?
I have Mr. Gil Robinson. He's representing himself, and he's in support of Bill 79.
Thank you, Gil. Before you start, all the remote sites, please turn your microphones off. We're getting an echo. Am I right? Scott, would you check that microphone? Got it.
We're all good.
Gil, would you go ahead, please?
Yes, good morning, County Council. I'm Gil Robinson, representing myself in Ocean View. I am for Bill 79, opposed to GMOs on the basis that they are not thoroughly tested yet. History has given us a lot of examples of inadequately tested products. A big one that I'm familiar with is asbestos back in the 60s. It was in everything, and then they determined that asbestos is bad for your health. I fear that that could be the same with GMO, and I'd like the Big Island to be the first island that would be GMO-free. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Would the next testifier in Ka'u please go ahead? Identify yourself first.
Madam Chair, we have here Fortune Otter. She's representing herself, and she's in support of Bill 79.
Hello. I am against GMOs being processed. grown and processed here on the island. I have taken children camping and had foods that were bought at the store, and because there is no labeling, I cannot choose between a non-GMO item and a GMO food. And I have seen ants will not eat apples that are bought from mass production companies. And if the insects on the island aren't going to eat the foods, then they cannot be good for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you're in one of the outlying areas from here, please get close to the mic, especially in Ka'u because the transmission has dropped, obviously. So please keep the microphone fairly close to you if you're outside of the helo chambers. Okay, we're now going to Pahoa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our first of the two testifiers for now will be Mr. Greg Owen, speaking in support of Communication 211, Bill 79. And whenever you're ready.
Aloha from Moku Opuna. I support Councilwoman Willie's resolution 110%. However, GMO papaya should be included. GMO papaya has devastated Lower Puna. Go see for yourself. Go check out the empirical evidence in Kapoho. The land, the earth, the Aina, Almea is burnt, scorched, poisoned. Hawaii uses 10 times more pesticides per acre than the national average, and 3 times more than California, the next highest. Kapoho has been literally drenched, saturated with a poisonous cocktail for 40 years. Fungicides, weed killers, and pesticides such as malathion. Malathion and parathion are just weaker versions of the notorious nerve agent sarin. Sarin, like malathion, is a deadly organophosphate. Just as bad or worse are the chlorinated hydrocarbons, the persistent hydrocarbons, including chlordane, heptachlor, and DDT, all once used widespread here in Hawaii. Chlordane and arsenic are at the bottom of the Wailoa River and Hilo Bay. 30 years ago in Kapalua, Maui, chlordane and the deadly lindane killed 3 neighbors and crippled 4 more with a rare form of leukemia, aplastic anemia. Your corporate neighbors can kill you. Maui Land and Pineapple settled this case out of court. Yesterday in Kapoho, I saw a GMO papaya worker planting seeds wearing a full lab suit type protective gear. What's going on here? The close neighbors to this field are on rain catchment. What about pesticide drift? And the federal and state oversight is virtually non-existent. Aoli GMO, Aoli geothermal, Aoli any Californication of Puna.
Thank you. Before we have the next testifier from Pahoa, I need to just let the public know that in Bill 79, Section 14, which is exemptions, C, it says any person using transgenic organizations in the production of agricultural produce or raising livestock of any kind prior to the effective date of this article under the exemption allowed in subsections B and C is exempt from the prohibitions set forth above, et cetera, et cetera. I just want you to know there is an exemption. You can read it over in the table if you need to. I just want you to be understanding that before you testify. So, Pahoa, please, your next testifier, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next testifier is Hillary Flaming in support of Bill 79. Go ahead, whenever you're ready.
Aloha and good morning. My name is Hillary Flaming. As a small local eco-farmer here on the Hawai'i Island, the health and vitality of the soil, the water, plants, and ultimately our bodies is very important to me. I farm because I want to have a relationship with the plants that I grow and eat. And I want to know that, I want to know what I'm eating, basically, also, and also what I'm sharing with others. I support Bill 79 because it's a step towards greater diversity, food sovereignty, and it creates health and well-being for the land and also our community. It would help to create a more life-affirming and sustainable future for ourselves and our children, and also for all those generations to come. And I can't think of anything else that would be more important than that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. We're now going to Waimea. Your first two testifiers, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair. We have Maureen Coos representing herself in support of Bill 79, and in addition, we have 6 additional testifiers. Good morning. My name is Maureen Combs. I live in North Kohala, and I have made my career in clinical research in medical devices. So I'm very familiar with the process of approving something that is new, and the GMO industry has not been held to the standard that is typically required for something that will have such an impact on human health. Now, I know we have 2 different ways of looking at this. One is the human health side, and one is the health of the agricultural industry. I want to lead into the agricultural industry by telling you what is going on with the classification of GMOs as being substantially equivalent to the hybridized or the naturally occurring plants that we have prior to GMOs. So there's a definition of devices and foods that is substantially equivalent. It means that it has such enough resemblance to something that is already marketed that you do not have to do human trials. So you get in sort of under the radar. And way back in 1996, when this started, the GMOs started, the biotech industry got in on substantial equivalence. So they are not required to do any safety studies. They're not required to look at what happens when they put these GMOs into our environment. And there is a lot of data on animals that tells us that they're very dangerous. There's huge amounts, and I can't go into it, but I just refer people to the Institute for Responsible Technology. They're very scientifically sound. They have a lot of information, and they'll let you know these things are dangerous. They are deadly. They are killing animals, and they will likely kill people, but we haven't had the human studies. We can't prove it. And Monsanto writes there's no need for the testing of safety of GM foods. So long as the engineered protein is safe, foods from GM crops are substantially equivalent, and they cannot pose any health risk. This is their statement. They cannot pose any health risk because they are substantially equivalent. So we need to get rid of that. But that's not why we're here. We're here for agriculture. So agriculture, there is a bioengineer from Health Canada who had for decades been promoting the agriculture in Canada, protecting GMOs, and he has seen the evolution of this going. And he changed his stance. He started protecting, and he says, you know, this is, I will read you the very end, 30 seconds, genetic pollution of the extreme, particularly when antibiotic resistance is becoming fast and serious global health effect. He's seeing that these organisms are changing the very biological nature of what's in our environment now. It is so polluting, like the man from Pahoa said. We are polluting where it is. They wipe out and saturate lands now because the crops. I need to stop. But please, 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 do not allow GMOs on this island. Thank you. Monique Cobb Adams. She's representing herself, and she's in support of Bill 79.
Aloha, good morning. My name is Monique Cobb Adams. I'm very new to this, but learning about genetic engineering has really scared me. I don't want my kids eating it. I don't want it in our Hawaii. I think this type of Franken-science doesn't belong here. And from now on, I promise I will pay attention to what is going on. And I'm going to pay attention to who is voting who, Monsanto and all these corrupt corporations in place, and we're going to fight it grassroots mouth to mouth. Every person that comes in contact with me is going to be sick of hearing about Monsanto and GMO, as far as I'm concerned. I support this bill, and I support Hawaii being a GMO-free island and eventually a GMO-free state. And I think it's going to be good for our economy. I'm tired of these companies telling us how bad we're going to get it if they pull out or stop using money as your tool. We get farmers here who can organically grow stuff. They're good at it. You know, we've been doing it as Hawaiians for years, and there's no reason for us to continue tampering with our farming and our environment. Sorry, but emotional, but you know, the emotion is good. That's what's going to make us fight. Aloha.
Thank you very much. We're going to Hilo now. Ms. Harden, please begin.
Good morning, Corey Harden, in support of Bill 79 about GMOs. I hope we'll lead the way for all Hawaii to say no more GMOs. With increased GMO plantings and contamination worldwide, someday it may be of great value to be the one place that's GMO-free. GMO in Hawaii is a big enough deal that Al Jazeera and the New York Times both covered it recently, and a big enough deal that hundreds of people turned out for no more GMO marches on 5 islands, as the photos show. Hawaii has the largest number of experimental biotech crop trials in the United States, and are home to one of the world's greatest concentrations of GMO research fields by 5 of the largest biotech and chemical companies: Monsanto, Dow AgroSciences, Syngenta, DuPont Pioneer, and BASF. Next picture. About 1 out of every 4 agriculture workers in Hawaii work for biotech. 10 million pounds of GMO seed corn are grown in Hawaii every year, and biotech companies own or lease 25,000 acres in the state. Next photo. The New York Times said major seed companies, which have tested biotech crops in Hawaii for years, are rushing into the void after the sugarcane and pineapple collapsed. But hopefully in some way the scales are tipping the other way. Next photo. In 2003, under fire from environmentalists, Monsanto stopped developing biopharma crops in Hawaii. In 2006, a federal judge ruled the government didn't follow proper procedures when those crops were allowed. In 2008, of course, our county banned GMO taro and coffee. Next photo. In 2011, in the U.S., almost 300,000 organic farmers challenged Monsanto's right to sue if its GMO seed or pollen got onto someone else's land. And they would sue the person where it went to. And a Canadian farmer made Monsanto pay him several $100s the cost of uprooting their invasive GMO plants. A Minnesota court let organic farmers sue for contamination by pesticides that drifted over from other farms, and hopefully that will also happen for genes drifting over from other farms. In 2012, back here in Hawaii, every county except Oahu supported GMO labeling. Next photo. And Kauai farmers sued biotech company Pioneer, saying their pesticides contaminated dirt that then blew over Waimea. Honolulu Weekly noted that Hawaii imports 85% of its food, but biotech companies use prime ag land for research that does not supply food for any of us. The seed gets shipped someplace else. So I hope we'll keep going away from GMOs, and it would be really nice if we ended up being a place with no GMOs and valuable to the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harden. Mr. Steiner.
Thank you, Council, for hearing me.
Press the bar. Thank you.
Thank you, Council, for hearing me, and thank you especially, Margaret, for introducing this bill. As we know, a lot of the information concerning the GMOs that have been released so far has not been released from the companies that are releasing them. That information is held in priority status, and they will not release it. That has left the research situation up to individual researchers to try and find out what's going on and to develop the information that's necessary. That information is just now coming out. Before this council, in previous testimony, I indicated that we need to watch the future because as information comes out, it will tell us what to expect. So I'm attached to this document, to my testimony, some information for you about some of the more recent studies. Please pay special attention to Dr. Nina Federoff's presidential address to the Association of Advancement of American Science, one of the leading scientific bodies in the U.S. Her speech on transposons highlights the fact that these genetic jumping genes can move from one part of the DNA to another and even between organisms. This is important because jumping genes have come to be used as a mode of transferring modified gene segments into and between organisms in industrial laboratories. Now they are seen as being involved in such phenomena as increasing antibiotic resistance in bacteria and fungi, and I refer you to the papers by Hanage et al. And Graham in your packet, and the spread of introduced gene sequences from fungi to aphids. I refer you there to the paper by Moran and Jarvik, and also the spread of genes from plants to coffee pests that enable these coffee pests to better survive. Recognizing these potential impacts now, China, which is a leading GMO developer and user, has banned use of genetic engineering for their main food staple, which is rice. We have not done that in the U.S. for our main food staple, which is corn. Most recently, a report this year from the European Food Safety Authority has discovered a viral sequence contained within the commercial GMOs that carries a virus. And you have that paper reference in your file also. They found that 54 of 86 insertions of foreign DNA for cauliflower mosaic virus was present. This means that we are spreading a virus previously undetected by the corporations who use these sequences in the GMOs currently in use. This information is freely available on the web. As time goes by, I think more and more such information will become available.
Please summarize.
It should be considered seriously in your own debates, and I look forward to you asking questions if you have any. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to go to Ka'u. Your next two testifiers, please. And we're going to get Mr. Hayward and Ms. Dr. Miyasaka.
We have here Anjali Larson. She's representing herself, and she's in support of Bill 79. Have to get close.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you for hearing me. My name is Anjali Larson. I am in support of Bill 79. I'm against the use of GMOs because they promote and encourage the use of pesticides and herbicides on their crops. And I don't believe that they are safe for human consumption. If they were, the corporations who produce them would not be so reluctant to label them and release the results of the studies that they have done. I also believe that it is very important to protect the fragile ecosystem of Hawaii and our organic farmers here. GMOs can contaminate the seed stock by wind, and it pollutes. It pollutes all of these things that we have here. Natural selection has been at work for thousands of years, and GMOs disrupt this process, and there's no way to take it back. So, thank you. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next testifier from Ka'u, please.
I have here Joanne O'Donnell, and she's representing herself, and she is in support of Bill 79.
Aloha. Thank you for having me come here today. We are at risk. I went on the internet this morning, and they're discussing GMO honey and the pollen that goes to all of our gardens. Most of us here are organic, and we understand the problems of keeping our food clean and nutritious. In Japan, they have a study going on now. Their elderlies more dementia is showing up in the elderlies. So they are checking the GMO soybeans. You know, soybeans is probably in almost every food, even in tempura, all kinds of things. What are we doing to us? We've got to stop all the GMO production. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Kona, your next two testifiers.
Okay, our next testifier is Cheryl King in support of Bill 79.
Is there a microphone we need?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, I support this bill. It's carefully crafted and addresses the health, environmental, and legal issues associated with this bill. Our food supply should not be controlled by private companies. Sustainability is in peril when we cannot give the seeds from the crops we grow to others. I honestly don't know if GMOs will affect our health or that of future generations. However, I don't think it's safe to assume that they won't. Once GMOs are unleashed, they're here to stay. Generational studies by unbiased university scientists need to be done to establish GMO safety, and not just one or two. Lots of studies that address lots of different issues. This will take generations. Our island should not be used as a lab for this purpose. And last, I'm disappointed when council members are absent for the public testimony. Perhaps they should abstain from voting. Thank you.
Kona, your next testifier.
There's really bad feedback. Is there anything we should say?
Okay, our next testifier is Janice Palma Glenny in support of Bill 79. Go ahead.
Aloha, council members. I'm a horticulturalist and deeply involved in the agricultural industry, including owning a plant nursery in Kona for over 25 years. I'm here to testify in strong support of Bill 79, which will hopefully be amended per Councilwoman Ford's clarification, so that this bill will not allow for prior exemptions. As stated by testifiers before me, GMOs presently known and unknown risks to public and environmental health, as well as our island's cultural integrity, are great. As much as corporations like Monsanto would like to and expect to use the Hawaiian Islands as their laboratory and its residents as guinea pigs, I hope that this council will use its wisdom to support this bill and its intention to limit the negative effects of GMOs on our lives, our land, and our Keiki's future. I'd like to thank Councilwoman Willie for her efforts on this and other important issues, including the county budget, and I ask that all council members support this important legislation, which will send a strong, positive message beyond our island's borders. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. We're moving over to Pahoa, please. Your next two testifiers.
Thank you, ma'am. The first of the two is Miss Lynn Howe, speaking in support of Bill 79, representing Beach Farm Road.
Aloha, my name is Lynn Howe, and my husband and I have a small eco-farm in Lower Puna. And I'm aware that Governor Abercrombie has made agricultural sustainability for the islands a high priority. Allowing the biotech industry and GMO technology to become established and to proliferate on this island does not move us in the direction of that priority. The biotech industries are given free rein by our federal government to regulate themselves. They continue to make the same claims that they conduct rigorous testing of their products, declaring GMO food safe, and that their agricultural practices are less toxic. But if this is true, why do these industries prevent outside safety testing in the United States? And why do they continually refuse to release relevant data to other testing institutions so they can compare results and determine true safety? Why, if these foods are so safe, have these biotech corporations spent millions of dollars fighting the labeling chain of their products across the country. The industry's mantra of using less chemicals is now a hollow promise. This technology has given us resistant superweeds, superpests, and jeopardized the existence of our pollinators, especially the honeybees. Now farmers of Roundup Ready and BT crops must use more chemicals than ever before to try to control these new pests and weeds. And what is the biotech company's answer to this? Stacking genes, and they're close to releasing new GMO crops that will allow the use of even more highly toxic substances such as 2,4-D and dicambra. These are nightmares to the environment and to our health. If this is such a safe and sustainable technology as they say, then why in this past legislative session did the biotech industry feel they needed to float a preemptive bill, the right to farm, that would disallow nuisance claims against acceptable agricultural practices? These are industries that make huge sums of money on a technology based on war chemicals. And with this technology, they go to war with our environment and with our health. Does Hawai'i Island want to join the growing ranks of states and islands that are left with the costly job of cleaning up the polluted groundwater, restoring reef die-offs, and the growing health issues that we're seeing? Monsanto's genetically modified BT corn is equipped with a pesticide that breaks open the stomach of insects that eat these plants, and it kills them. This same BT toxin has also been detected in the blood of 93% of pregnant women, 80% of babies, and 67% of non-pregnant women. Is this the model Hawai'i Island wants to embrace? I don't think so. The county's general plan seeks to promote a model where economic gains are in balance with social and physical amenities. GMO-free Hawaii is that reality. Mahalo.
Thank you very much.